They won't say it out loud, but the body does. It whispers in the stillness, in the way fingers lose warmth, in the eyes that drift beyond the room. And if you listen, not just with your ears, but with your heart, you'll hear it, the quiet language of farewell. I've been a doctor for over 3 decades. I've walked the sterile corridors of emergency rooms, stood in the hushed silence of hospice care, and held trembling hands during final breaths. Nothing in medical school prepared me for the sacred hush of death. The truth is, medicine teaches us how to keep people alive. It doesn't always teach us how to recognize when life is slipping away, not in a crisis, but gently, silently, like the tide withdrawing from shore. The first time I truly understood what dying looked like, I was a resident. It was late, past midnight. I was called into a private room where an elderly woman lay breathing faintly. Her daughter clutched her hand, her face tight with worry. The monitors beeped steadily, but something about the air felt different. It was calm, too calm. The woman opened her eyes, looked at her daughter, smiled faintly, and then closed them again. Minutes later, she was gone. No alarms, no convulsions, just peace. That night changed me. There are signs, 8 in particular, that someone elderly is nearing the end of their life. They're not always obvious, not always dramatic. They come slowly, sometimes over days or weeks, and they come with meaning. The first sign is a shift in energy. It's like watching the sun begin to set. Not darkness, just a softening. An elderly person who once chatted for hours begins to speak less. They don't have the energy for long visits, loud rooms, or even long sentences. You'll see it in their posture, how they sit lower in their chair, how they rest more frequently. The spark dims. Not completely, but gently. Families often say, they're just tired. But this isn't ordinary tiredness. It's the body conserving itself, slowly withdrawing energy from the outside world. Next comes the disinterest in food and drink. Eating is a social act, an act of living. But when the body begins to prepare for the end, food no longer holds appeal. Taste buds dull, chewing feels like effort, digesting takes too much energy. You'll notice untouched plates, declined desserts. Even favorite meals go uneaten. Families struggle with this. Mothers who once cooked feasts now eat barely a spoonful. But this isn't starvation, it's nature. The body is no longer investing in fuel because it knows the journey is nearing completion. Sleep becomes the third sign. Long stretches of rest, punctuated by moments of alertness. The elderly begin to sleep more, sometimes 20 hours a day. Don't mistake this for illness or sedation. It's a retreat, a turning inward. Dreams become vivid. Some speak aloud in their sleep. Others reach out as if to unseen hands. One man I cared for kept murmuring, "Almost there." I asked him where he meant, and he smiled. "To the water," he whispered. "The boat's waiting." Breathing changes too. It becomes irregular, sometimes shallow, sometimes deep. Then there's a long pause. This rhythm, known as Cheney-Stokes respiration, is often frightening to watch. But it's not painful. It's the body letting go of routine, no longer needing to breathe with precision. I've seen family members cry during these pauses, thinking it's the end, only for their loved one to breathe again. It's like the soul is testing the waters, moving back and forth between two worlds. Another sign is the skin. It cools. Not all at once, but gradually, from the feet upward, the extremities begin to lose warmth. Circulation is slowing. You might notice a bluish or mottled appearance. Don't rush to warm them up. This is the body's wisdom, redirecting blood to the core. It's a protective instinct, not a failure. The sixth sign is detachment, not emotional coldness, but a spiritual withdrawal. Their attention drifts. They stop watching TV, lose interest in daily routines. They become quiet, contemplative. One woman I cared for spent her last days staring out the window at the garden. She didn't speak much, but when she did, her words were full of memory. "I planted those roses when your father came home from war," she told her son. The garden became her bridge to the past, and perhaps to what lay ahead. Then comes terminal lucidity, the seventh sign. It's one of the most mysterious. After days of silence, they suddenly become clear. They recognize everyone. They speak, laugh, even eat. It's a moment of return, but it's fleeting. Don't be deceived into thinking they're recovering. This clarity is a gift, a final goodbye in disguise. I remember a man who hadn't spoken in days suddenly calling out to his daughter by name. "You made it," he said, smiling. He passed that night. The final sign is the surrender. You'll feel it more than see it. The shoulders relax, the jaw unclenches. Their hands, once tense, go soft. It's not weakness, it's peace. They're not fighting anymore. They're ready. And when the final breath comes, it often sounds like a sigh, a release, a letting go. These 8 signs don't always appear in order. Sometimes they overlap, sometimes one is more pronounced than the other. But together they form a language, a silent vocabulary of parting. And if you pay attention, if you slow down, you'll learn to read it. I once sat with a woman named Clara, 91 years old. She'd outlived her siblings, her husband, even one of her children. Her voice was soft, her hands like parchment. In her final week, she asked to hear hymns. Every afternoon, her granddaughter played piano in the room. Clara would close her eyes and smile. On her last day, she whispered, "The music sounds different now, closer." She passed that night, with the notes still hanging in the air. There is a sacredness to dying. It's not just about what ends, but what remains. The stories, the love, the silence that teaches us to listen. When an elderly person begins to show these signs, don't think of it as giving up. Think of it as letting go, a release from the heaviness of years, a return to lightness. It's normal to feel afraid, to want to hold on, but know this: death is not the enemy. Suffering is. Fear is. Death is a natural part of life's cycle, and when we witness it closely, we understand our own lives more deeply. So if you're sitting by the bedside of someone you love, and you recognize these signs, pause, breathe, speak gently, touch their hand, tell them what they've meant to you. Listen, not just with your ears, but with your whole being, because these moments, they shape you, they stay with you. At the edge of life, there's no room for regret, only love, only presence, only truth. This isn't the end of the story, it's the turning of a page, a chapter closing, another beginning. We may not understand what lies beyond, but we can honor what is here, now in the final breath, in the last look, in the hands that once held us. And when it's your turn to sit in that chair, to hold the hand of someone you love, remember these signs. Not as warnings, but as whispers. As the body's gentle way of saying, "I am ready, I am at peace. Walk with me, just a little farther." Because that, my friend, is where the real story begins.